Hey, everybody. You all know me as Mary Bingham, the 9 times great granddaughter of Sarah Wilds and John Wilds, obviously. I have a huge shout out today as I will update you a little bit on the research into the hometown area of John Wilds before he immigrated in 1635. A shout out to first Alan Hopper and second Paul White, both of whom work with the Norfolk Family History Society. Alan provided advisement on information I needed for them to look up John Wilds in the county of Norfolk. And then Paul White found records of two John Wilds born in the nearby town of Folsham. And I say nearby town of Folsham to Oxwick and Colkirk, which is the original areas that I started looking at for John Wilds' birth area in a couple years ago. This John Wilds that he found, or these two John Wilds, one of them could be our ancestor. But the only thing I'm questioning are the years of birth on those records that he found, because they don't coincide with the age that John reported himself to be when he immigrated in 1635. But they still could be. One of them could still be our ancestor. But there's something else. So you all heard me say that John traveled with William Whitred and his wife Elizabeth, born Baker. And we all know that William was living in nearby Colkirk, which is about 9 miles from Folsham. And they were living there just before they all immigrated. And since John actually was traveling with the Whitred family, plus a few other guys that were all carpenters, I understand it to be, and I could be wrong, but I understand it to be that they were apprentices to William Whitred, or some type of an indentured servant, but most likely an apprentice. And then, of course, William, John's brother, was on the same ship, but he was with an Alice Wild and another gentleman with the last name York, and I'm so sorry I forget his first name at this time. But going back to William Whitred, whom John came over with, William married at Colkirk, which close to Folsham, to Elizabeth Baker, and his first 4 children were born there. The last being Elizabeth, who was buried there on the 13th of March, 1632-33. So that places the Whitred family all the way from the time he got married to the early 1630s in Colkirk. Now, what we don't know is if John was associated with this family in 1632-33 at that time. Possibly not. But it could be, because it depends on what happened to John's own family, which we are not certain. We just know what happened with his brother. Don't know where his parents were or anything. But I just found something remarkable. A birth record for William Wild, who was born the 27th of February, 1550 at Oxwick. And that is 2 miles away from Colkirk. That's the whole area I have been studying all along. This William, born in 1550, most likely had a sister who was named Dorothy, who died young. Their father was Charles Wild. Though we don't know right now who William Wild's children were, that is the William Wilds born in 1550, we don't know who his children were due to a couple of missing generations between him and William Wild, who was born about 1605, and John Wilds, born about 1618. But it is possible that he could be the grandfather to our William, again, born 1605 about, and John, born about 1618, who immigrated on the Elizabeth. This is exciting. However, even if William, who was born in 1550, is not a grandfather, he could still be related in some other way. But most importantly, this birth record of this William Wilde, born 1550, is ironclad proof that the Wilde family was indeed in the area of Colkirk and Oxwick prior to the birth of our own Wilde ancestors who immigrated again in 1635. Thank you very much, and I will see you all again soon.